Welcome into another edition of the Big Ten Hockey Report. Rick Pizzo, former Ohio State standout Paul Caponigri with you, coming off a weekend where some great holiday tournaments were played, and one of the longest-standing holiday tournaments of all, the Great Lakes Invitational. We start with day one semis. Michigan State taking on Michigan Tech. Spartans up 1-0. Mackenzie McEachern finds himself all alone high slot. Michigan State takes a 2-goal lead. Now late in the third, Spartans' lead has been trimmed in half, up 2-1. Jake Lucchini, with just over a minute to go, ties it up, and we head to overtime. In OT, Brent Baltus enters the zone and rips one past Jake Hildebrand. Tech takes it in overtime, moving on into the championship game where they would face the Michigan Wolverines, who knocked off Northern Michigan in the semis. And once again, it's Baltus, part of the all-tournament team, with the redirection past Steve Racine. And Tech takes a 2-goal lead in the first. Wolverines fight back in the second. JT Comfort to Tyler Mott, one-timer to tie this thing back up at 2. And then late in the second, Alex Kyle shoots, gets his own rebound, and puts away the eventual game winner as Michigan claims the GLI with a 4-2 win over Michigan Tech. There is a new top dog in this week's USCHO men's hockey poll. North Dakota takes over the top spot as Providence slips down to third. St. Cloud State and Harvard also in the top 5. Michigan, the highest-ranked Big Ten team, at number 8, and Penn State, with that 12-3-3 record, sits at 14th. Michigan has gotten a huge lift this year from Kyle Connor. Last year, it was Dylan Larkin, who after 1 year moved on and is doing great things now with the Detroit Red Wings. What do you see in Kyle Connor this year, and why, as a freshman, has he been able to deliver in so many big moments for Red Berenson's team?
Yeah, I think it's a pedigree. Michigan gets some of the top players coming out of the U.S. national program. He's another guy. He's a big kid. He's 18 years old, but he plays at a level. He looks like he's been there for a couple years. He's got some great players. He's playing with JT Comfer and Tyler Mott. Those guys have been carrying him, and he just looks like he's a step ahead. It looks like he's a sophomore or junior. It's not like it's his first experience, and he's scoring big goals, and you got to love those type of players.
Meanwhile, something of a disappointing GLI for Michigan State. Competitive in both games, but you lose in overtime in both the semifinals and the consolation game. And I spoke with Jake Hildebrand, and I spoke with several of his teammates earlier this year. They still have all the confidence in the world in Hildy, a guy who's been one of the nation's best goaltenders over the last 2 years. But I can tell you from personal experience, it's such a mental position. It's so all about confidence. And right now, it seems that in between the pipes, Hildebrand maybe is not the same guy mentally that he was over the last couple of years.
I mean, we can sit here and guess about that stuff. It's got to be that. I mean, if you would have told me before this year what the most sure thing about a player would have been this year, would have been Jake Hildebrand in goal. And we've seen him have a struggle here and there before, but he's always bounced back. And this year it just seems like it's compiled. And, you know, the pressure of being a senior and worrying about where he might go next year. We can all speculate that, but it's really hurt Michigan State so far this season.
And he didn't play poorly in the GLI. Didn't give up any really bad goals, but I think we've come to expect Jake Hildebrand to steal games for his hockey team, and he just hasn't been able to do that this year.
Correct.
Meanwhile, Steve Racine has another tremendous GLI for Michigan. He was the MVP a year ago, and if it hadn't been for the outstanding performance of Kyle Connor, could have been the MVP in this year's tournament as well. Is that the linchpin? Is that the ultimate key for Michigan to make a deep run?
I mean, Rick, how long have we been talking about it? Because their goaling tandem has been the same for the last 3 years, and we've saw their offense has been great. They've had some great defensemen with Werenski and those type of guys. It's been their goaltending. They haven't made that big save when it's needed, and they've had to score a lot of goals to win. If they don't have to do that, they're going to be winning games 5-2. That's just icing on the cake for Red Berenson. You know how Red loves to find one guy and ride him. This is Racine's last shot at it. So maybe this is his senior year. He's got that last chance to make it happen, and we'll see what he does with it.
One other storyline to follow for Michigan hockey, Zach Werenski coming off being named the defenseman of the tournament at the World Juniors. There is speculation that he may not return to Ann Arbor, that he could turn pro and immediately join the Columbus Blue Jackets. They own his draft rights and desperately need blue line help, a storyline to keep an eye on if you're a Michigan hockey fan. For Paul Caponigri, I'm Rick Pizzo. As we wrap up this edition of the BTN Hockey Report, plenty to come throughout the week. Check us out at btn.com, or you can check us out on Facebook or YouTube by searching BTN Hockey Report. Thanks for watching.